Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to the brand new Nevada Newsmakers. We have a hot show and we're starting at the top. Andy has the rundown.
Sam, at this very minute, lawmakers are being sworn in for the 72nd session of the Nevada legislature. Not since 1981 has there been so much fighting over taxes and tax hikes. Today, Governor Guinn tells us why he wants tax hikes and why we need bigger state government. Sam?
Thanks, Andy. And we have the bad boys and girl of political punditry. Jim Denton is here, Scott Craigie, and Jan Gilbert. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Earn triple cash points every day during February at the Gold Dust West. To celebrate, we're bringing back the classics.
Earn once, twice, 3 times the points.
With triple cash points, you'll remember.
Win 3 times.
3 times the cash. Triple cash points happens the entire month of February. You'll enjoy.
3 is the winningest number.
3 times the cash. All day, all machines, all month. Using your Gold Rush card in February will be music to your ears.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV parks.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of Firestone roofing products for any type of roof, from commercial to industrial and residential. With a Firestone roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado, and live the excitement. El Dorado, Reno shining star. Live the excitement.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
Andy, I don't remember a State of the State address that so many people listened to and have been talking about ever since.
No, you're right about that, Sam, and no two people agree. There's going to be a lot of fights in bars over this one.
You could well be right. We sat down with the governor a couple of days ago for the first in-depth television interview. Here's Governor Guinn. Governor Guinn, you made the speech of a lifetime with your State of the State address, but as you probably know, there are a lot of people that think that you changed parties and became a Democrat when you gave that speech. Some people even going so far as to say that Hillary Clinton could have given that speech. How do you respond to those folks?
Well, anytime you have a difficult subject in a time of crisis, you have to be willing to put down your true feelings, your thoughts, and what's best for the majority of the people. And so I never expected in my budget nor in my State of the State message to not have some people who would say, I disagree with that. But that's America, and it's a great part of Nevada where people express themselves. But I truly believe that those who listened and will follow up and get more information, which they need to do, will truly see the position that we're in as a state. We are at a time of great need to change. We can't change all at once, but we need to change. And I truly believe that my speech certainly was not a Democrat or Republican speech. It was a speech for the people, whether they be independent, libertarian, Democrat, or Republican. I see them once you're elected as all Nevadans. And remember, those who would say that you would change parties, we are a 50-50 state. And I was elected by an overwhelming margin and many thousands and very high percentage of Democrats. So it's the people looking for someone who will take a stand and try to make sure in these tough times in America and here in Nevada that we that we look to the future. And hopefully that's what my speech was all about.
Governor, I've known you for many years, and I know this vision is not a new one for you, that you wanted Nevada on a more stable financial footing for many, many years.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. I've been involved for 38 years and done virtually every major study for the last 6 governors or so. And it's always been the same. But as we've gotten bigger and bigger and more complex as a society, it's become more evident and it's become more urgent for us to do something.
So my question is, why would you not speak in more detail about the taxes and the tax hikes before the election?
Well, you know, first of all, the legislative body put out a resolution, and that resolution was unanimous of both Democrats and Republicans saying our system is broken. And remember, this wasn't my recommendation. They came with the task force on taxation, which is about the 5th or 6th one. It's the only one I haven't headed up in the last 38 years. And they said, this system is broken. Both Democrats and Republicans said that. We are changing Nevada, and we want to see how we're going to cope with these changes, and we'd asked this task force to work. They volunteered. They spent a whole year. And it would have been presumptuous on my part, and certainly not fair with my knowledge, to go out and undermine what they were working on as citizens from across this state. So I know a lot more about it in detail than they do, but I'm only one person, and I wanted to see what they were going to come forth with from their public testimony and their involvement. And they did a great job, by the way. It's a very difficult assignment in the state of Nevada when you say, look at new revenue streams, known as new taxes.
Well, with all this respect, excuse me, but with all this respect you have for the legislature, if they send you back over a budget that is not exactly what you've asked for, will you have that same kind of respect for it?
Well, sure. Look, I fully understand that when you, in tough times, it's even more difficult. But I look back over the 2 previous legislative sessions. This is my 3rd budget. The first 2 budgets I personally caught more heat on than I have been in this particular time, and that had no tax increases in it. I did a lot of cutting and rearranging and disturbing the land that had been there for a long time in various programs, and I took tremendous heat. People just forget it. I haven't forgotten it. I've received less heat because there's more and more people, not everybody, there's always exceptions, that's saying it's time that we've done something like this, look to the future. My job is to lay it out, and I have to do it in writing, in great detail, print it, and hand it to the world. And I'm the only one that's done that. There has not been one single recommendation from a legislator or an outside group other than the task force.
And this is typical in Nevada, where nobody wants to raise taxes. Some of the heat that you're going to be getting, and I'm sure you've already gotten, has been from small business and marginal businesses in the state. For example, using the sands in Reno, the bat tax alone increases to them would be about $250,000 a year extra. They've barely made a profit the last couple of years. How are we looking at businesses in this recessionary time?
Well, we're looking at it in the basis of what would they do if we have to close some of our schools, or if we go to 4-day school weeks like some other states are talking about. You have to look at those alternatives. And remember, the business groups, the Chamber of Commerce came together and recommended without any argument whatsoever to go to $2 or $200 on the VAT tax as opposed to $100. In other words, doubling it. But when you looked at that, we would have still had to rip out the very heart of our educational system, K through 12, the university system, the health programs, and certainly maybe even release many prisoners from prison. And I just couldn't feel that we could do that. So my recommendation of this plan is far-reaching compared to any other budget that's been recommended in my 38 years here. It is a bold step, and I don't expect to get everything, but I expect that we will get a great deal of it, because it's very difficult for people at the legislative body or anybody else to come and say, here is a better plan. This plan does not include personal state income tax. It's prohibited by our Constitution. We don't have a corporation income tax in this state. We have sales tax and gaming tax, and it's flattened out. It's been trending down for years.
Governor, bottom line on this is business has got to suck it up, right?
Well, business has not been paying their fair share, and we need to understand that. Look, you can be an entrepreneur in this state, and you can be under 3 employees, as an example, in the company, or just yourself, a sole proprietor, and you could be making $10 million a year in this state profit, and not pay any taxes. You only pay $85 to register your company. But if you work in that same company in California, you will pay a state income tax or a corporation tax on it, and you will pay a personal income tax on it. So what we're trying to do is to say, how can we function and get a better base for our revenue so that when tourism comes down and sales tax go down with it, we aren't in this cut out everything mode and then hope and pray it comes back.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
Do you know you can still buy a nice car for a great price and a low payment? The car is a Mitsubishi Lancer, and it's only available at Reno Mitsubishi. The Lancer has style, a ton of neat features, and with a lease payment of $169 a month, it's even more fun to drive. So if you want a great deal on a Mitsubishi Lancer, find your way down to Reno Mitsubishi today. Because at this payment, they won't last long.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. 7 award-winning dining choices. Experience the Atlantis Seafood Steakhouse tonight. Winner of Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence. The local choice for food and fun, Atlantis.
Atlantis.
At Sushi Club, everybody's family. That's what makes dining here so much fun. The sushi is consistently better, the atmosphere is great, and the service is wonderful.
Welcome to the bigger and better Sushi Club. Come in for our delicious daily specials.
When you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Hi, Printfield. You'll find the best buys in town at Jones West Ford. These are Value Plus vehicles. You save thousands of dollars. Here's some examples. This 2002 Mercury Mountaineer sold new for originally around $33,000. At Jones West Ford, only $20,995. Here's a 2002 Ford Taurus SC, new around $21,000. At Jones West Ford, only $11,989. Over 300 used vehicles on sale. Check them out on our website, and I'll see you here.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
There's going to be a lot of people as surprised at some of those answers as we were, Sam.
Indeed. Now back with more with Governor Guinn.
You had an example you wanted to give us, Governor.
Yeah, we're talking about looking at taxes. And look, I'm not a tax and spend person. I've been conservative all my life, in my personal life, in the companies that I've run, in the university, the school districts. I was always conservative. I'm still conservative, but conservatism doesn't mean that you throw away everything that you've built over the 139-year life of this state. And that's where I'm at this point. Let me give you a quick example. Just 5 years ago, there was virtually no revenue in California for gaming. Today, 5, 6 years later, they're reaching now to $6 billion gross in gaming, our next door neighbor. We're a little under $10 billion after 75 to 80 years of being the best and the only place in the country. Well, what that tells you is that if you look at it and analyze it, California has been our very best customer. Over 60% plus of the people come here throughout the state in gaming and tourism. Well, when your biggest customer becomes your biggest competitor, you have a serious problem, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector, and we're now faced with that. Governor Gray Davis is going to expand tremendously the gaming for revenue in the state of California. They're our biggest customer and they are our biggest competitor. In the private sector, you would go out of business if that happens to you. We have got to change.
Governor, just listening to you talking, watching you in the State of the State and listening to you today, both on air and privately, you seem to have been empowered way beyond just being the governor. Do you feel this personal sense of empowerment that you now have? Because you don't have to run for re-election?
Yeah, I don't know if it's empowered, but I have a great feeling for this state, for what it's done for me over the last 38 years that I've been here. I came here with nothing. I came here in debt from college. I came here where people opened up their hearts and their opportunities for me. And we've done that over and over. And that's why when I look at it, I say, what can we do to change Nevada? I don't want to be governor in the state of Nevada if we have the lowest percentage of kids going on to college. It was 37% just 3 years ago. Today it's 48%. This September it will be in the 50s because of those 22,000 Millennium Scholarships that are bringing great future to this state.
Governor, a lot of people like your vision. They don't disagree with what you want to do. Their question is now the time to do it when times are so tough economically and people are living from paycheck to paycheck?
Well, let's really be careful about what we're doing. First of all, we're not going in a great way to the very heart of the person on the street. I've said I would not go for a service tax on the person on the street. For example, a mom and a dad taking their kids to get a haircut. The Chamber of Commerce recommended that to be a tax. I said, wait a minute.
What about the movies?
Well, the movie is a little different, a circumstance of entertainment, and you'll see where golfing wasn't in there. I'm all for putting golfing in there, but I'm trying to go along with this task force. But let me get back so I can answer your question, because it's a very astute question. The vision that I'm looking at for us is how we're going to spread out a base that will help us grow into something that we're going to have to grow in as we continue with this population. What we're doing now, I can say to the people of Nevada, it's in my heart, it's in my knowledge bank, it's in my experience bank. We will fail if we don't change. Take small business. The gross receipt tax has some issues with it, but issues are worked out at the table in testimony and not hyperbole and not anecdotal records and just saying, oh, I'll go out of business. I talked to a plumber just yesterday in Reno who had some concerns, wrote me a great email. He wanted to help, but he said he's struggling. When we got through, he said, this plan is great. I'm going to pay less because he was not grossing $1 million. He's going to pay less, and that's 62% of our people in this state in small business.
Governor, you are embarking on the greatest negotiating session of your life, and I can see that with the fire in your eyes, and we want you to come back on the program. We're going to be going all the way through the legislature and tell us how it's going.
I'd be happy to come back because it's so important to communicate to our people.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Andy. Thank you very much.
And in just a minute, we'll tell you the answer to that question we asked the governor that he gave us off camera.
And we'll be back with the bad boys and girl of punditry after this time out.
Take a break and treat the family to breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Tamarack Junction. Enjoy pasta night on Wednesdays, Mexican on Thursdays, and seafood on Fridays. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amani Ranch Parkway.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of elk roofing products for any type of residential roof. With an elk roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
The Gold Dust West has another Club Card Challenge. Triple cash points all day, all machines, all month.
Okay, what's the catch?
None. Just use your Gold Rush card any day, anytime, and on any machine during the month of February, and you'll earn triple cash points.
Triple cash points on all machines?
On all machines.
Triple cash points anytime?
Anytime.
Triple cash points all day, all machines, all month, just for using my Gold Rush card? How do they give away that much cash?
Simple. February only has 28 days.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV parks.
At Tamarack Junction, you can take advantage of fabulous food around the clock. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, give the oven and yourself a rest. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amani Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is the point where things start to heat up with our political pundits here. Jim Denton, who's a political consultant, and Jan Gilbert, who's a lobbyist for the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, and Scott Craigie, former chief of staff to Governor Miller. The first question to you, Jan, you know, with the governor and Senator Raggio seeming to be in favor of raising taxes, does that mean you're against raising taxes?
Absolutely not. I'm right in line with them. I'm right behind the governor.
Okay, how can we afford all
100%.
this? How can we afford all this?
We can afford it. Business hasn't paid in a long, long time. We're one of 4 states that has no business tax. It's time for the business community to pay.
I thought we have bat tax. I mean, and they're paying property taxes.
Compared to most states, the bat tax is nothing. It barely shows on a pie chart.
You know, Andy, I have to tell you, having listened to the governor, I don't disagree with the governor that we have to fix our tax system. I don't disagree with him. We need fairness in this tax system. But I think that the problem that I see in it is the argument about how that we go about doing that. And you know, one of the things that a study that I just read this morning said is that we've got one of the most regressive and dysfunctional tax systems in the United States. We have one of the top 4 tax systems that is most reliant on sales tax. And as this study said in Governing Magazine, which is published by Congressional Quarterly, said that we are way too dependent on gaming and sales tax in the state. And to that end, that I agree with.
You know, there's one other thing that I want to bring up, and maybe, Scott, you can address this, which is, you know, we tend to refer to business as this giant conglomerate that everybody's involved in. There are some businesses that are doing very well in the Silver State. There are some that are rather marginal. How do we look at this from a tax base?
Well, you know, everyone brings up this argument. You got to do it on ability to pay. And actually, that would be the way that you'd want to do a tax. You'd want to do it on ability to pay. The problem that we have in Nevada is that we've locked ourselves in to this very rigid set of rules on how you do taxes here. We passed a constitutional amendment back in the 80s that says you can't do a tax based on income. And now the teachers had one that they tried to skirt and tried to design well, so it was based on ability to pay. It's unconstitutional. So you know, all of those people that say, you know, you got to do this on ability to pay, now we're doing one that taxes a very, very small percentage, but taxes everybody evenly across there. And everyone says, well, the car dealers and the grocery stores. You know, this is like making a Rubik's Cube, where you don't have enough of the little squares, enough of them to make one side on any level. So you keep turning it this way and they say, oh, you can't do it because of the ability to pay. You do it this way and they say, oh, but then it's not fair because those guys pay more.
Scott,
we've made it difficult. You just got to make a fair tax with what we got.
The way we've set this structure up, you know, in all fairness, the governor has some very good points. The gaming commissions, his tax study commission has some very good points, but so does the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, they all have parts of their puzzles that make sense for the consumers of the state. And the question I'd like to ask you, since you are in favor of raising taxes, and I'm not saying I'm not, the question that I have for you is, why is it that no one on the Democratic side talks about lowering the sales tax in the state?
Well, because we're in a crisis. Our budget's $700 million in the hole. That's leaving flat. That's no additional teachers. There's going to be classrooms. I mean, we're talking a drastic position we're in right now. And I think the governor is absolutely right in saying there's a segment of the population, big business, that hasn't paid their fair share. When small businesses start looking at this proposal, they'll see they are not going to pay.
All right, but
wait. The problem that I have with that argument, very quickly, Andy,
Jim, let me say something. The governor made 2 remarks that were off camera. One was he didn't go for a sales tax hike when times were good because people would laugh at him. They said, you're getting plenty of money, why should we pay higher taxes? The second thing was he didn't talk more about taxes before his election because he was afraid he wouldn't get elected. What about those 2 answers on all of your opinions?
We all know he'd get elected.
Yeah, I think if he'd have shot 3 people in Mesquite, he'd have still gotten elected. I mean, come on.
Well, I don't know. The only thing that I can tell you, what kept getting Ronald Reagan reelected every time they asked him a question, on whatever the subject was, Ronald Reagan said, I think we ought to lower taxes in America.
I thought there was a very interesting comment from Terry Lanny, who's the head of MGM Mirage. Over the weekend, he was speaking at a conference, and he said that if businesses can't afford to pay these increased taxes, which he's in favor of, maybe they shouldn't be in business. Quite frankly, as a small business owner, I was outraged by that remark.
Well, one of the problems that we have with everybody that's in this debate is they're not focused on the 2 critical issues. One, they're not talking about the budget.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to raise taxes, we got to raise taxes only because we need it. Now, I believe we need it and need it desperately. But those that don't want to raise taxes come in and say, cut the budget. Let's get rid of all the... And the second thing is, I don't think anybody gets to play unless they have an alternative. Don't come in and say, oh gosh, this group and that group isn't doing the right thing. If you don't like what's on the table, put something on the table. Ante up. It's an ante up state.
You're starting to sound like...
Get in here.
That's how Bruce Breslow got elected, you know.
That argument about cut the fat is fine until it comes to the point that you start cutting core services that citizens think are important.
Okay, we got to hold it right.
Educational system.
We got to hold it right here. Jim Denton, Jan Gilbert, Scott Craigie, thank you so much. We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers right after this timeout.
If you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club. Year after year voted the best place for sushi. 11 chefs on staff to serve you. Better ingredients for consistent high quality. And lots of room, so bring your friends. Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us. In Reno, say El Dorado. And live the excitement. Shining star, live the excitement.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
The Mitsubishi Outlander is the hottest new sport utility on the market today. And right now, you can lease it at Reno Mitsubishi for just $209 a month. The Outlander is sporty, features all-wheel drive, and is the best buy in its class. You owe it to yourself, and you deserve it. Come down and lease a brand new 2003 Outlander for just $209 a month. It's for a limited time only, so find your way down to Reno Mitsubishi today.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, consistently voted Reno's best buffet by locals. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch. Atlantis.
Back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
Tomorrow, Senator Bill Raggio, Speaker Richard Perkins, and Andy Barbano joining us in the pundit panel. And if you want to tell your lawmakers what you think, go to krnv.com, click on Nevada Newsmakers, and you'll find a link.
You know, our pundits are still carrying on over there in the corner.
Yeah.
We also want to say a big thank you to Ralph Todre and the entire staff here at News 4. They have done an incredible job of working with us to put on this show. We couldn't have done it without them, and we thank them very, very much. Please join us tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say, at 12:30, right after the noon news here on KRNV.